You're listening to The Good Morning Show with Oliver O.T. Thomas.
We're back. Welcome back to The Good Morning Show. Man, Early Bird was excited. Early Bird say, let my people go. Early Bird, you ain't never been locked up, man. You're a bird. You get to, you ain't even never been in a cage. You rarely come in the studio, Early Bird. So look, just because Will Snowden was on, with the Justice and Reform Day in Baton Rouge, if you want to be part of that effort, you can fly up to Baton Rouge and help Will Snowden. Will Snowden, public defender, founder of the Juror Project, man. Thank you for coming in and sharing. Let's hope that this Reform Day is in Baton Rouge is not like reform efforts that have happened so often in the past. And thank you, Governor John Bell Edwards, for actually keeping your word and being committed to criminal justice reform. Talking about reform, in the studio, I call them the Juicy Brothers, right? You may be down on some of the national news and the newspapers that don't do the backstory and don't give you the juice. Well, we got some folk out there, man, the Uptown, Robert Morris and Tyree Worthy with the Uptown Messenger and the Gentilly Messenger. They give you the juice. The Juice Brothers, man. Thank y'all for coming back to the Good Morning Show.
Thanks a lot.
And I'm serious about that. Y'all be like, now this is what we heard. And we don't really get that from the press anymore, that kind of, going out the way. And I know Robert and Terry, y'all will call people and then ask people to call and then ask those people who to call, just to kind of give the people a full story.
That's what we're trying to do, give the people a voice.
Now, first of all, for our listening audience who didn't listen last time, who maybe don't get the Uptown Messenger, tell folk what the Messenger is.
So we are a group of neighborhood-based news sites. We have the Uptown Messenger covering the Uptown area. We have Mid-City Messenger in the Mid-City area, and Gentilly Messenger is our newest one here in Gentilly, and each one is staffed by a reporter in the neighborhood covering neighborhood issues.
Correspondent.
Exactly. And covering the neighborhood association meetings, the charter school board meetings, the police district. We don't go to police headquarters. We go to the first district. We go to the second district. The third district. That's where where our reporters go. And so we're really trying to we're doing the same types of reporting that anyone else might, but we're really trying to do it on the ground.
And let's talk about how did y'all develop these sources right now? Because, I've talked I read your stuff, and, I kind of know stuff, right? And I kind of good relationships. And y'all will be on it. Y'all have been in talk, well, no, I thought, and I'd be like, man, I thought I was the only one who knew that. Robert, how does that happen? Tyree?
Yeah. Well, it starts from being in the right place at the right time. So we'll hear about something cool happening. We'll go there. And then once we build a rapport of covering these kind of things, people will give us tips. People will email us, call us, like, here's what's happening. This is where you need to be. And then if we find, some schedules from, neighborhood associations, that kind of thing, we'll go to those. And then they'll tell their members, about the new developments and this, that, and the third. So it really builds from that.
Wow. Robert, you guys have really focused on an issue that you all, in your correspondence, your team, y'all think these upcoming elections are extreme. I've read in some of you guys' reports about people running for office that the mainstream newspapers, they were after the fact. They had to read y'all stuff to report. But the other thing I like that you're doing is that you guys are saying, hey, look, you don't have to be a mainstream candidate. You don't have to be a candidate that's funded. We'll profile you. We'll talk to you about your interests, and we'll put it out there. Why that extra effort?
That's what you've just described is a huge part of the reason we're here. The rest of the world had their election last November. This is our election. This is the election.
Point.
This is the election we care about.
Right.
And we have these. We are in the council districts. We know, it matters to us. Whoever gets elected, we're going to be calling them, in the district, in the city council districts. The District A office, the District B office, District D office. That's the phone numbers we call. And so we really want to make sure that every candidate that's running is vetted. We want to make sure that the people in the districts have a chance to get to know these people. If you're running for one of these offices, trust me, you're going to get to know us. But before the election,
and that's what Robert and Tyree, that's what I really enjoyed about reading your stuff and kind of reading between the lines and understanding the story is that because, our mainstream media, they're going to talk about the candidates that are being forced on us. You can already see their bias. They're going to make sure they're in the interviews. Right. They're going to make sure, and these are people that are from the establishment. But you guys are saying, no, hold on a second, right? You got some folk out there that are not being brokered, that are not part of the establishment, and if you're running out there, we're going to do what we can to get your platform out there so people can know you.
Right, even playing field. So we're based in ground level reporting and like community level things, so we want to make sure that the people that are potentially representing the community, that the community knows who they are, what they're about, so on and so forth. So it comes from that. And
you're also asking folk, if you heard something, if you know somebody we need to cover, call us.
Please call us. And a lot of times the way we find out about these candidates is, it's actually a pretty natural way, right? So we several years ago when we had that really hot District B race between LaToya Cantrell and Dana Kaplan from the Juvenile Justice Center, we were the first ones to report on
12 for a buck.
Right.
don't leave Buck out.
I appreciate that because we were the first one to mention his candidacy too. And
it's exactly. That's how we found out he was running. That's how people know he was running in many cases.
Because Marlon Horton and Dana Kaplan and they came to the neighborhood associations first just to say, I'm thinking about running. Here's what, and they hadn't, publicly announced or whatever. And, but we were there, and so we just wrote about it.
Actually, the Messenger it gave life to LaToya Cantrell's campaign and writing about first place you found out about her community work and building the Broadmoor area. It was established her candidacy because she was absolutely an underdog, in that race.
She was a neighborhood leader, and that's where we see.
Well, let me ask y'all a question before we get into walking down the slate. Now, do you guys, since y'all focus so much on community, do you guys think maybe it's a time where we need more community leaders in public office?
Well, I think we have, we do have some strong community. Everybody that's listening right now can point to one person that they think is actually doing a good job for the city of New Orleans, right? They probably aren't elected to something, but you know somebody,
that's
right?
That's a good point, yeah.
And
I talked about Walter Romani the other day and what he does and how it's kind of unbelievable that he didn't get elected and that he's still today, doing what he does, And
then on the other hand, we have open seats for extremely important offices, such as the school board. I know there is not a listener of this program who doesn't have an opinion on the charter school system.
No doubt about it.
And yet, we had two open seats on the school board
Barely
that were unopposed.
That's right.
Completely unopposed.
I couldn't believe that. I talked about it on the show. I thought that was offensive.
I couldn't either. And it's no disrespect to either the gentleman that ran, but that needed to be a conversation.
And you guys are saying in this election cycle, if it's anything to do with democracy and justice, that cannot happen. We need to have people flooding to file, to run for these offices and not be afraid. And what you guys are saying that, hey, look, man, it doesn't matter if the political organizations don't support you. It doesn't matter if the Picking Union Advocate, don't write about it. It doesn't matter if the media doesn't cover you. We're going to give you some time and some space.
Right.
But we'll be there, and the neighborhood groups will hold these forums for the district council races, and we cover every minute of it. So you go up there, and you've got an issue you want to say, you're going to get it covered by us. And so, please, if you're thinking about running, please go ahead and jump in. Don't let it be another. People talk about a messy election when you got 10 candidates in our open.
Beautiful election.
Exactly, that's the election we need. So I would love to hear if there's somebody in.
I won with the highest percentage with the most candidates at one time. But it was beautiful, just the competition and the sharing of the ideas. I think it was like 10 or 11 people, but it was great to spar and to connect and to get ideas. I actually learned from the other people who were there.
Absolutely, and I think we've seen that in some of our better elections. That we
democracy is better served when there's a challenge. And people have to campaign.
Because even if you were not the candidate with the money.
Right.
And even if you really aren't the most qualified,
Right.
but you got one idea out
Right.
there and it gets traction, you know what? The person who wins, there's a good chance they're going to take that idea and run with it.
504-260-9265. Robert Morris and Tyree Worthy. What have you heard? You can give them a call if you want to say it right here on public radio. Who's running? Or if you like somebody whose name has been bandied out there, they'd love to do the background work to interview that person, look into their candidacy. So let's start with the juice, man. We're gonna work from council races at large to mayor. District A, what we hearing?
So District A, we have the Mid-City Messenger has been covering that one for us, and we have heard from Joe Geruso in Lakeview and Mark Vicnair in the Uptown area that they're both interested in it. Drew Ward, who ran a few years ago, my understanding is that he is running again. Those are the three names that I have heard off the top of the bat. Again, if there is somebody if you live in District A and there is somebody not just that you think might be running, but that you think should run and hadn't even thought about it yet, call and tell me, and I'll call him and tell him you said so.
And that's an open seat there. Susan Guidry, she's termed out.
Exactly. Thanks. That's the crucial point there is that it's an open seat and she's term limited. She's not running. She's not going to be running for anything else. And so this is really your chance. You're going to get heard in District A, and same with District B.
Right.
Latoya is running for mayor.
But I'm going to stick on A here because I like the way you guys do your articles and your background, because you don't just mix the candidacy who's running. You guys actually mix in the issues for that area, like Lakeview infrastructure. We see burglaries and car. There's been major concern with crime.
Sure thing.
There, so you guys actually offer an opportunity for the candidates to talk about, hey man, how you gonna fix this? What are you gonna do about it?
There's been District A has also seen a lot of discussion about the sort of the tension between the city's policy regarding demolitions versus historic preservation. Do we need to tear some stuff down and get some bring some properties back into commerce, or do we need to enforce these? And District A has been a place where we have seen a lot of tension between that. And, people who buy property and, you buy a fixer-upper and you decide it's a little too much fixing up. And we have seen fights at almost every level of government over that issue. So in District A. So I think
District A just, and parts of it, even the low turnout election, just determined the election in one of the judicial races. I think that in that Lakeview area, Mid-City area, is the reason why Paula Brown beat the leading candidate, Tiffany Chase. So there's a lot of frustration in that community.
Yeah, it's a big community. If you don't study the district lines the way that you and I do, it runs all the way from the university area through Carrollton
to the Lakefront,
through Holly Grove and Mid City, and there's a lot of different communities involved in that. And I think there's some of those communities that probably need to have a voice in this election too, through a candidate.
So Joe Geruso is son of the former councilman at large and police chief, Joe Geruso.
That's right. And
got some pretty good political pedigree.
Exactly.
I could see the system, all the political system lining up around him.
I think there's a whole lot of momentum behind his candidacy already, for sure. And Mark, I think, will make a pretty good showing.
Former school board?
And former, it's the Alliance for Good Government.
Alliance for Good Government,
right.
Yeah.
So,
and Drew Ward's been out there a while too.
Drew Ward's got a lot of, Drew Ward's going to want to talk about the Carrollton Courthouse, that was recently sold, and he's very keen on
3 white men, though.
That's correct, and I think that's.
We need to juice this one up. We need some folk out of Holly Grove running. Yeah. We need some women. We need some African Americans. This needs to be, to your point, every organization that has some issues probably needs to have a candidate.
I agree wholeheartedly, and this is to me. I will go in there and I will try to ask the questions that I know are important, beyond just the talking points, right? But it's a lot easier if you've got your own candidate in there that's going to raise other questions and other issues that perhaps haven't even reached me yet.
You guys raise an important point, Rob. And Tyree, I'm going to ask you about it. When Robert says it's different, from me advocating for a community on the air, that's one thing. You guys writing about it, but if you got a candidate that's out there with that cause for that community, even if it's one issue, you're making a difference for your neighborhood.
Right. Yeah, you're highlighting that on the entire scale of the city.
Right.
So people that aren't worried about it, they have to think about it. If not, really
it becomes part of the platform.
Problem. Right. Exactly. So the other nominees or the other candidates have to consider that platform and consider how they feel about it. They have to pick one way or the other.
That's a good point, and that's a powerful point. And I wish that there was more advocacy like that out of our other media, and encouraging people to run. Because what you're saying is that, if nothing else, when communities have representatives out there competing for public office, then that person who may win, you're getting called out about that issue.
Yeah, right.
The public's going to know how you feel about a private versus public, charter versus non-charter,
short-term rentals.
How you feel about short-term? How do you feel about criminal justice reform? How you feel about those issues come to the forefront.
Right. And then there's an opportunity or a possibility where that community advocate can enter that playing field, and then
you might mess around and win.
Yeah, they can actually be a better candidate than what was presented before.
Now, Robert, you have contended for, and I agree with you. I think that the system and the brokers actually they're working overtime. They're scared. But you believe the ingredients exist out there given a national, statewide, and local climate. Even though people are frustrated with politics, you believe that the climate is out there for upsets.
Well, and I will give you a great example.
And tell why you believe that.
Well, I will give you a great example of an issue-based candidate. As you guys were talking about District 8 just now that I remembered, Jason Coleman ran, and I have to say Jason was maybe a year or two ahead of his time because Jason's family owns the Coleman Cab Company.
Talking about would have been a great addition to political leadership, man, no doubt.
And what do we talk about now? The sharing economy, the Ubers, the safety regulations on the Ubers, the Airbnbs. I think
he was on it.
He saw it coming, and maybe the city wasn't ready to have that conversation yet the last time he ran, but that's going to dominate the next election, and so. Someone like Jason, who also has a record in education, served on the Audubon Charter School Board for several years and so forth. Good solid candidate.
Was actually ahead of his time with those issues, though. He saw it.
Right. So these are the types of people that I think really add a lot to our electoral process, and it's who we feel like we can do, because again, when we take one of these races and it's our most important, everybody's going to be talking about the mayor's race, right? If a mayoral candidate comes to our, we'll write about them.
We need a strong council.
But we're going to be following these council members around, so.
Well, we got to take a break with it. We didn't get stuck on District A. It was important. We're going to go down the list, man. We got another hour to do it. Guys, call, tune in, 504-2609-265. Text us at 318-599-9265. We talk about politics on this station all the time. Here's your opportunity to promote a candidate that you have a choice. If there's a name that you've heard out there, Robert and Tyree, they will run with it. They will do the background. They'll do their research, and they'll give this individual or individuals a platform. We're going to be back. Ro Brown and Janella Newsom will be here with news and sports. And we're going to come back with the juice after the break.
WBOK 1230 AM, the People's Station.
You're listening to The Good Morning Show with Oliver O.T. Thomas.
We're back. Well, Ro Brown, leave me alone. I was complaining to Ro Brown about some of the calls in the NBA, and Ro Brown said, your wasn't whining when Michael was doing anything he wanted on the court. No, that's right. And for full disclosure, that was Black Jesus. All right, all right, Ro, and you know that Black Jesus could do anything he wanted to because he could fly. That's right. As always, man, we want to thank Ro Brown and Janella Newsom for what they do with news and sports. We want to thank the two guests in our studio, man. I call them the Juice Brothers, man. If you haven't read the Messenger, the Uptown Gentilly of Mid-City, there's been, but before we get back into these council races, there's been a resurgence. Like, one of my regular guests is Jeff Thomas with Think504.com. There's been, man, folk who are going out of their way to try to fill in the blanks where mainstream media has kind of dropped off. Is this movement happening around the country?
It is. There's you see sites like ours in communities around the country trying to, because if you think your newspaper has gotten a little thinner, it's not your imagination. Okay, it's real, and
and not just thinner with paper, it's thinner with information.
There's fewer reporters. The size of any given newspaper is half what it was 10 years ago, and just 10 years ago, we're talking still post Katrina. So. Anyways, there's been a huge amount of cuts in the news industry, and so you see people trying other approaches, trying to make it work, trying to
fill their void.
504-260-9265. Here's your opportunity. We talk a lot of politics, speculation, who's on first, who's running, who should run. Names are often thrown about by callers and people in the listening audience here. We're talking to Mr. Robert Morris, the news director of the Uptown Messenger, and Mr. Tyree Worthy, publisher of the Gentilly Messenger, news, politics, crime, and events. So we're on crime right now. We just went over the list for District A, 3 white men, Joe Geruso, Mark Vicknair, Drew Ward. And Robert, you contend that, it ought to be spiced up. They ought to have other communities there that may be underserved, that have issues. And Tyree, you say if it's one issue, man, get somebody out there in the race, man, to compete. If nothing else, so that your issue can be heard.
Look, if this is striking a chord with you, you can run, okay, and you can bring the issue that is important to you that you're not seeing represented, not only in the mainstream media, but if you don't see your issue represented in Uptown Messenger, run for that District A seat, and I promise you, we will cover it.
And you're saying, guys are saying, y'all are going to give some time. If you're not a mainstream candidate, if the money, the business community, the political brokers are not supporting you, if you're out there and you got some issues and you're viable, you're going to get covered by the Messenger.
Qualifying's in July, and as soon as you put your name in that hat, you're going to get a call from us, and we're going to say, why are you running? What is important to you? And we're going to write about it, and we're going to follow the whole race. But from day one, you're going to hear from us about what is your platform, what's the issue.
I got to ask y'all a question before we go down to district, and the phones are lighting up, before we go down to district B and the other districts. Tyree and Robert, it almost seems to me that you guys are kind of offended by how the system of the political process is controlled right now. And you always use that school board race. If there was ever an opportunity for a field of candidates, you're saying, man, that was one that this town missed. They allowed the system to control it.
And the school board race is interesting because, and again, I got to make clear, I don't have a personal problem with any candidate, right?
You don't have a dog in the hunt.
It's the lack of candidates, and the school board race was a perfect, because we have a training ground for, we have so many charter school boards. How many people we have dozens and dozens of people serving on these, who a lot of times we talked about Jason Coleman a minute ago. He was the parent representative on the Audubon Charter School Board, but you better believe by the time he got done serving on that board, he knew everything about state funding. You got to know everything.
I couldn't believe there weren't more candidates. I talked about that the day after the election. I was like, man, all these people are frustrated with the school board. And you mean to tell me you had a couple of seats that were unopposed?
Two seats out of 7, right?
That was ridiculous to me. Let's go to the lines, and then we're going to start to walk down District B and the other districts. Line 1, Miss Jones, you're on with Robert Morris, Tyree Worthy, publishers and director of the Messenger.
Good morning to your guests, your audience, and to yourself. Speaking of things politically, of course, we had a couple of very well qualified people for the school board. Why do people put the same people in there? I don't know. I don't understand it. And right now, we need to talk, too, about the runoff, the early voting that's going on with Rachel Johnson for Civil District Court. Now, her opponent has not sent out much literature, so I don't know what is there to hide. No picture of her.
No, she's on the news. She's running commercials.
Yeah,
Susie Montero. She's running because she's got money. She's running. She's not sending out. She's on TV.
Yes, a lot of people need to get out of their lives and go plug in Rachel Johnson.
Right.
Don't complain, because from what you're reading, she's very well qualified with all the situations, problems that we have with family, children, and family.
Just a wonderful young woman.
So she knows the score.
Yes, she does.
But as far as for running for the school board, why people put the same people in, and then you get the same thing.
What about these council races, Ms. Jones? Are you looking for some different people, or are you looking for the people that the system forces on you?
No, they're looking for different people, and this is where people need to really take time and come together in groups, family, right in the community, get along and find out who is doing what and how, so you could support that one. Don't, my vote is my private business.
Right.
Yes, it is your private business, but then the result, it become public and you're dissatisfied.
Thank you.
Publicly.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. We appreciate that as always.
Welcome.
504-260-9265. Robert Morris, News Director, Publisher of the Uptown Messenger. Mr. Tyree Worthy, Publisher, Gentilly Messenger. District B.
Well, I just thought Miss Jones made an excellent point about the judicial race, too.
Yes.
We've been talking a lot about please run.
Right.
We shouldn't not say please vote. I just pulled up our article about the first round of judicial races. Right. The election was decided by 10% of the voters.
I know.
And 10% is, please, make it a little more.
It ought to
than
be
10.
a crime, but registered voters ought to be arrested.
Go vote in the runoff, please.
Right.
Sometimes when I go vote in these low turnout elections, I'll tell you, I'll tweet out.
On your way to Jazz Fest, vote.
Please go look at. You're making a decision. If you voted in that last election, you made a decision for 10 of your neighbors.
Right.
And if you're married and your wife went and voted too, that's 20 people you're representing. So please go vote. District B, I think that's the race that I've done the most legwork on personally. Just last week we had an article sort of updating our readers on the field there. Of course, Eric Johnson has said he's been in for quite some time. He's
been out there for over a year now.
He's got a career in urban development around the country, and he's
Dr. Eric Johnson. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
That's right. And our latest article was about a new contender, Timothy David Ray. Tim. Been
a political operative and active,
right?
Especially in the religious community. Tim, a lot of respect out there.
Young attorney. He has some. He has worked for Judge Monique Barrial and so forth, and so he is now running for District B. I talked to Jay Banks last week, who said
King Azulu,
exactly,
a board member,
right?
Veteran political operative,
and he is. He told me that he is 99% of the way to making an announcement. So he said he's got some logistical things that he's got to take care of, but I don't think somebody would say 99% of the way if they weren't pretty close.
If they were only 1% of the way,
So and then I also checked in with Seth Bloom, former school board member, who said he is still deciding, but he's going to make up his mind soon too. So that's the field as I know it in District B.
And these are 3 black men and 1 white male, all men.
Right.
Again,
coming from a seat that's been held by women.
Maybe it's the year of the male.
Right. And the council
again
has been. I mean, that's an interesting point because the council's been dominated by women for several years.
I think there was in one election cycle it was 5 women and 2 men.
Right.
And then the public flipped that real quick.
Not
trying to say anything, guys.
So, but again, I think that District B is a fascinating microcosm of our city.
The numbers have changed now. It was a heavily African-American voter registered district for a while. Now it's about 50-50.
It's pretty close, and it's very similar to. I think it's very similar to the city as a whole. And you have there's a lot of very well-to-do communities in District B down in the Central
Downtown,
Business District,
Riverfront, Garden District,
St. Charles Avenue, and then you have Central City,
Central City.
all the way up into pieces of Mid-City.
4 housing developments.
Right.
Major housing developments.
So, and you've also got the Ferret area, and you've got the Broadmoor area. So, more middle-class areas as well, too. So I just, I hope that we will have the race several years ago, between LaToya Cantrell and Dana Kaplan was a great election to cover because there really was a lot of strong conversation there. Dana was coming from the juvenile justice background.
Very issue heavy. It was a great election.
And really, I would love to see another strong.
LaToya overcame Dana Kaplan was $500,000, the mayor's support, congressman's support, most of the major political endorsements, and LaToya still won.
And the voting was again interesting because it wasn't really along racial lines in that election because there were a lot of the white communities that were supporting
absolute LaToya,
and a lot of the
African American community and the justice reform community that was with. You're absolutely right. That was a very unique, special kind of election.
But I think we could do it again. We just need the right candidates.
So let's talk about you guys were the first to break. The news on Eric Johnson and Jay Banks, even before it was public that he was thinking about it. The Messenger had that message. How y'all did that, man?
Well, we just every time we talk to anybody, we say, who's running, who should we talk to, who should we ask, and it really does come down to it. I'm happy to ask that question and to initiate that conversation.
And
with
then
anybody.
go do the work to find out.
Right, and go track the person down and see what we can find out.
Now we got Eric Johnson, Dr. Eric Johnson, Attorney Tim Ray, King Zulu, Jay Banks, Attorney Seth Bloom, former school board president. Any other things y'all you're hearing out there, that maybe you can't verify, but some names that are bubbling up?
Trust me, if there's anybody else that I was sitting on, I'd have written it.
And for our audience, what you're telling them to do is if you hear a name, call y'all. Y'all will do, y'all will go down, track it down and do the work.
Or if you know somebody you think should run, and I think I think we all know people that would do well, even if they're not thinking about it and don't want the job. Call me and I'll call them and tell them somebody wants them to run.
Right.
Because I just think it's important to get that conversation
encourage
out
participation
there. And as you say, to look at a wider, broader field of people.
Now, Tyree, this is interesting here. We here we saw what happened to the other woman with Hillary, right? We see, saw what happened to Mary Landrieu. It's interesting here that as we go over the list for A and B, it's dominated by men. Tyree. So you're saying is that you want them women to rise up, right?
Well, equal opportunity.
Holla at y'all, right? Holla at your boy, man. Tell us if you're thinking about it, if you're out there.
Yeah, right. If they could do the job or they feel like they have a voice or an opinion that they want to raise, they should do it.
Right.
People are going to support them. And there's not too many people voting anyway. So if they get their community together and their supporters together. You got a chance to win. Yeah, definitely. I think everybody does.
Wow, and that's a good point. District C, French. We're talking about diversity. French Quarter, Algiers, part of Upper Nine. Man, that's a tough one. Now, that's a district where some folk been one term. Close elections, always real complicated to kind of put that puzzle together in District C.
So I'm going to have your listeners help me out on District C because we don't have a site reporting in the District C areas.
You got an incumbent, though.
But we have an incumbent, unlike A and B, so that's another reason we probably haven't heard quite as much about it. I will say, if you let me jump forward to District D, there's a big question mark there, though. We've covered that one in Gentilly with, does Councilman Brossett have an interest in running for an at-large seat, which would open up.
So for our audience, guys, we're gonna warm it on District C right now. We know the incumbent is Nadine Ramsey. You guys are saying give y'all a call if you hear about any other candidates, or if you think there's some people in that area you ought to run. But there's been a lot of talk about District D, and that is with Jared Brossett.
Yeah, so he's considering an at-large position. And we've talked to a couple of other people that are in the area that would run if he were to leave that District D seat.
And who are they?
So Eugene Green.
Oh, okay, wow. Wow, you're talking about formidable, great candidate. Eugene Green, okay.
Yeah. And Joseph Bowie.
Joe Bowie, those two actually ran against each other and settled it when one dropped out. That would be interesting.
Yeah. Right.
Again, Joe. I've also heard Joe Bowie's name for at-large and mayor.
So that's interesting because we did talk to Mr. Green and Dr. Bowie about the District D seat, and they both said they were interested, but they are waiting on Jared, and we have checked in with Jared a couple of times, and he's still, he's
still saying the political thing,
right? But
now we talk about Jared Brissett, been real strong legislatively, working on minimum wage, workers' rights issues. Short-term, he's been probably one of the more aggressive political voices out there for working class and for legislative issues of anybody in the city.
Yeah, agreed. I saw him at like a groundbreaking for this mixed-use facility on St. Bernard.
Yes,
a few months back.
Yeah,
he's very in the community. Very. Also saw him like at a bike share program launch. He's really. He's behind his work.
So he's prime actually for citywide or to go back to his district. He's kind of
exactly.
He's kind of set the table to he has options.
Do both exactly.
Yeah, I know a lot of people out there. They really view him more as a citywide leader than just a district leader. That's interesting.
And it probably speaks to the fact that as you mentioned, Eugene Green and Joe Bowie would be very formidable candidates.
Absolutely.
And yet they're probably they don't want to
right.
take on Jared Brissett either. So I think that speaks to the sort of depth of the connections he has in the District D. But it doesn't mean every problem has been fixed in District D either. And if your problem has been unaddressed, you can still respect Jared Brissett and run against him to air your issue and get it covered. And
that's a good point, Tyree and Robert. But what you guys are saying, look, is that just because a person's been a formidable candidate, even if they've actually been a decent representative, it shouldn't prohibit or stop people from bringing their issue
Not
out
at
there.
all.
Because one thing we do know, all the issues aren't being addressed.
Right. Absolutely. And District D is probably a good example of that too. I mean, just because there's an incumbent, don't sit it out if you've got something to say.
I had Jim Singleton tell me once when I was involved in politics about running. I was listening to people who were saying, "Hey, man, hopefully you'll be unopposed. You won't want to run." And Jim Singleton, he said, "Man, no, you want to compete." He said it's going to make you a better candidate. You're going to get to talk to people. You're going to understand the issues. And he told me this. He said, "Look, if you're afraid of running for office, then you need to resign." And he was serious.
It's gonna make you a better leader when you win too. I mean, look at the Obama administration.
Right.
Where did he draw his top people from?
Absolutely.
They were his competitors. Joe
Competing.
Biden was,
Competing.
right. And Hillary Clinton. These were his top people, and they came out of the race, the 2008. So, the same thing. You may not get a job for the councilman, but once you've been through that process with them, they're gonna have internalized. And if you bring up something that they weren't really thinking about, trust me, they're gonna think about it because they gotta answer you.
And I want to go back to the Tyree. You said something really important, man, in the other segment. It was like, hey, man, this may be the only time that issue for that community, that neighborhood group, that program, it may be the only time that issue is heard. And you have to take it. It's almost like you said, it's a public responsibility to make sure it gets addressed.
Right. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that it's not just your problem. Somebody else is dealing with it, and somebody else has either figured it out or they have an initiative as well. They might have a smaller community group that's looking for a way to address the situation, and you already have a program or you already have a candidate.
I like that. If you've thought about a public issue that kind of affects you, we can pretty much rest assured it's not just you.
Right.
I'm here with these two journalists. I want to make sure my diction in English. I want to make sure I put a comma when I pause, a period when I stop, an exclamation point when I'm excited. And I'm excited about this conversation. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we got District E, at-large, and mayor's race. We'll be back after the break with the Juice Brothers, man. The Uptown and Gentilly Messenger. We'll be back after the break.
WBOK 1230 AM, the People's Station.
You're listening to the Good Morning Show with Oliver O.T. Thomas.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Oliver O.T. Thomas, the early bird. And the entire WBOK listening audience, man, I'm here with the Juice Brothers, man. Robert Morrison, who's director of the Uptown Messenger. Mr. Tyree Worthy, publisher of the Gentilly Messenger. The Messenger Brothers, they bring you the news, stuff that we know Jeff Thomas makes you kind of think, 504.com. But these guys, they bring you the juice, especially what's happening politically, socially. We were talking about District D and potential candidates. Everybody's trying to wait to see what Jared Brossett's going to do. Right. If he's going to use his citywide initiatives as a launching pad for a citywide office, right. Or if great candidates like Representative Joe Bowie, they call him the people's elected official, and then Eugene Green, probably one of the best public servants. That would be interesting, man. So we're going to follow those developments, but you guys also focus on issues in the area, and Tyree, we got some juice happening in District B that's not just about a public office.
Yeah, big things, man, big things. So we're calling it a Waterfront Revival.
Whoa, hallelujah!
Yeah,
live the Messenger right here on BOK. We got the hallelujah,
right.
and let the District D water rain down on you. So right. Talk to me.
Yeah, so
I love y'all, man. Talk to me about the Waterfront Revival.
Yeah, so there's a lot of big developments going on.
And who's the pastor? The people who live there are the
people.
Right.
The people, always
right.
the people first.
Right.
But yeah, so there's a bunch of restaurants going on, developing out there. A bunch of updates with the Lakefront Airport. Just Tippertine is working on $12 million.
Now y'all broke this news, man. It hasn't been prominent. Y'all been kind of planting the seeds about this stuff.
Yeah.
This is what the Juice Boys do.
Yeah, a couple months now. It's like little by little we've been putting this.
Now hold
together.
on, y'all gonna get in trouble now. Y'all know the powers that be. They don't like stuff leaked, man. They like to keep it and then tell the public what community meetings and community input after the deal's already done. Right. Y'all trying to mess that party up.
We do what we can.
Finish telling us about some of these potential developments and what's happening in D.
Yeah, so Tippertine is working on a entertainment space on the lakefront.
Oh, rolling.
And they have like a torpedo boat from World War II.
Wow.
They'll be,
I didn't hear that piece.
Yeah, they're doing rides on the boat. That they're and it's a partnership with the World War II Museum. So they have a live.
And this is happening already.
Yeah. They started doing
Wait. I'm gonna say it like my little cousin would say, for true.
For true. Really real.
for real.
Yeah, you can get rides on the PT 305, restored World War II patrol. It was a boat built by the Higgins.
Yeah, the Higgins. Yeah, absolutely.
And it was being used for an oyster boat in
like
northeast somewhere,
yeah.
Right.
And
this is one of the Normandy boats.
And so they brought it back, they restored it, and it's through the World War II Museum.
The Higgins Landing Craft.
But they are launching out of that Tippertina's development at the it's the Lakeshore Landing, they call it.
So what's happening with the TIP development? Which stage is that development?
So they have the boat going. They're planning to have everything done by next year. Yeah. So they want to have like a entertainment venue. Mm-hmm. They want to have things for the marine people. Mm-hmm. So like laundry places and places for them to shower and that kind of thing. So they actually want to do things for the community over there as well as bring more people.
Now, I understand one of the people keeping you guys abreast of these issues is one of y'all outreach correspondents / public service, Eugene Green.
Yeah.
He's keeping the public engaged on what's happening there.
Yeah, he's part of the authority that's approving or not approving these developments.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's very involved in this. Him and Wilma Heaton.
Yeah, Wilma, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wilma been involved in politics a long time.
And they are, one of the most interesting components of all of that lakefront development is they are also interested in redeveloping
Arlene's Levy District. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're looking at redeveloping the Lincoln Beach property.
Hold on a second now. The Lincoln Beach back on the table?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, how come nobody told us, man?
Somebody told you.
Well, y'all told us, but I'm talking about that should be bigger news. Let me tell you what I'm tired of, and this is what I appreciate about folk like y'all, you guys and Jeff Thomas and others, the Tribune and some of these other smaller. I appreciate the fact that, the work you do, because I'm sick and tired of learning about stuff after the fact.
Right.
I just read this piece from the school board the other day that talks about school board launches a citywide survey. Well, shouldn't the damn citywide survey have been done before all of these serious school board decisions were made?
Yeah.
And I'm serious.
Yep.
That's frustrating the heck out of people. So here we are about Lincoln Beach, the development, Higgins Boat. I mean, that's millions of dollars worth of stuff, man. First of all, it's going to have an effect on how people live out there in New Orleans, East, and Gentilly.
Right.
And this is major stuff that they ought to have a voice in first.
Right. And Lincoln Beach is, we're talking about very early in the process.
Right.
The city still owns the property.
Right. Historical site.
But Eugene Green has been very open about the fact that he would like to see that redevelopment. He says it's been closed too long, and you talk about a natural way to bring some economic activity into that area.
Right.
A lakefront recreation area seems just perfect for it. So
a beach in New Orleans.
Hey, that's why when they talk about Bywater, I said, man, everything here Bywater. I'm surprised we don't have more beaches. 504-260-9265. Breaking news, man, right here. With the Juice Brothers, the Messenger boys.
We should give some credit to our friends and partners at Gambit who helped us put together they gave us the cover of Gambit this week to talk about this lakefront issue.
Yeah, Clancy was on here a couple weeks ago.
Right. So if you're interested, check it out on Gentilly Messenger or pick up your Gambit.
Wow, guys! Man, look, I'm kind of blown away by this because I'm really kind of tired of this after the fact stuff, man. If there's really community engagement, the community ought to be involved, especially in major economic development ideas and initiatives. The people in this city deserve the right to be on the front end. Line 1, Miss Eloise, you're on with the Juice Brothers.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Brother. My name is Eloise William, and I'm concerned about the little Algiers community. Could you tell me? I know there's a redevelopment going on, but could you give me some in depth about it if you have investigated? Because it's on the map, it's on the lake, and now on the chopping board. Wow. That we're gonna have a serious takeover of the little Algiers community.
Wow, that's a great question. Thank you, Miss Eloise. Guys, if Miss Eloise can have some information on that, have y'all heard about that yet? They're talking about that old energy site, the old ferry terminal, that area over there. A lot of speculators and developers are looking at it.
Well, it sounds to me, Miss Eloise, that I got to tell you, we don't have a reporter in the Algiers area. It sounds like you're telling me we need one, and we agree with you.
Right.
So,
right. How can she get in touch with you guys?
So just give us, the easiest way to reach both me and Tyree is if you just email us at uptown@NOLAMessenger.com. We both check that every day, and we can check into it.
If you give a source, y'all will follow with the check information.
But that does sound like a crucially important issue. And Algiers, I think, is a prime example of an area that could use a dedicated reporter.
Right.
Even just logistically getting one of the mainstream.
And y'all will help train them.
Sure, yeah. Right. We would love to see Algiers have somebody, dedicating themselves to that community the way we do some of our others.
The lines are lit up, man. I'm so proud of our listening audience. Guys, if you got a candidate, somebody out there ought to run an issue that's important. We're dealing with some breaking news here with the Juice Brothers from the Messenger. Line 2, Mr. Edwards, you're on with Tyree Worthy and Robin Morris.
Great show, and thank you guys for doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
I'm a chronic voter in District E. And I'll be honest with you, I think we have been missing a lot of potential in that we have one of the best people in our district in Alicia Plummer.
Yeah, no doubt. Great community service.
I think with Ms. Plummer, we will get anything from public safety to economic development to affordable housing. And the thing about it, she's independent.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And Ms. Plummer has decided to run.
Is my candidate out here for District E.
Wow, thank you. That's the kind of news the Juice Brothers want. I mean, they're doing thumbs up. Is Alicia Plummer, her name's been out there?
I think she is definitely in now. So look for some coverage from us on her too.
Right. All right. Wow. Hey, this is what we want. Anybody else you guys are hearing about? Contact the Messenger boys and the Juice Brothers. We're gonna go to the line. Mr. Gary Lewis Sr. on line 3. You're on with the Juice Brothers.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Mr. Gary. I'm good. Bless you, Papa.
Bless you too, brother, and bless you and your family too, brother.
Thank you.
And need to bless this city here. We need to wake up to on this city here, cause too much going on in this city. Like I told Chuck yesterday, I told Chuck and WC yesterday, we need to have a meeting, black meeting in the evening time. Now, town hall meeting.
Yes, sir.
And once we get there, we're going to see the CNN News going to come there. We're going to need to have a town hall meeting.
All right.
And discuss our problem, what's going on in this city and the black community, too. A town hall meeting.
Thank you.
My candidate for city council is Brother Nooney.
Okay, all right.
You heard of Brother Nooney?
Oh, absolutely.
Y'all
great community man. Nord, works with kids. Yes.
And I hope y'all saw the march Saturday, huh?
Yes.
Y'all saw the march Saturday about the fight Saturday in California?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know who caused the fight, huh?
No, sir.
The tear gas.
Wow.
The tear gas came up.
Wow.
The police caused the fight.
Yes.
By looking at the video will tell you all.
Okay.
Everything. And I had to give my shout out to Miss Louise Williams.
Yes.
Brother Nooney.
Yes.
Brother Senko. Mr. Carl Gamma. And Major Riley. And Miss Jones. And Miss Alberta. And Miss Sandra Hester.
Done. Thank you, Brother Gary.
And Brother and Sister Sally. Mustang Sally.
Great shout out, brother.
Bless all up.
You have a great day,
bless
too.
You too, Oliver.
Absolutely. That's the kind of stuff you guys want, man. Names where you can track, man. The Juice folk. Mr. Gary, you on it.
We appreciate it. We got some work to do now.
Right.
Yeah. No doubt about it. We'll go back to the lines right now. Line 1, Reverend Wallace, leader. You're on with the Juice Brothers.
Well, praise the Lord to the listening audience and to these two young men, the inspiring young men that have been educated and really have a compassion in their heart to bring knowledge and awareness to a lot of things in the community. I commend you, brothers.
No doubt.
Doing a service. You could be anywhere making 6 figures, but you come back and you help the city. So I praise God for you. Oliver, I want to say to you, you're one of the great giants, and you're certainly putting your footprint in the city, and it's going to be inevitable. You're a good man, and you're doing a lot of good things, Oliver.
Thank you, Pastor.
I want to commend Eugene Green.
No doubt.
I want to, first of all, serenade Bill Jefferson, Dollar Bill, whatever you want to call him, Mose Jefferson. One thing about those people, no matter what you say about them, they had their footprint in the city. They know how to organize and galvanize black folks to vote.
Definitely
the vote is the most important thing that we have, not our dollars in the bank.
Right.
Our vote is the most sacred thing that we got. That's what brought about the Emancipation Proclamation, whatever you want to call it. That's what get us where we at today. Dr. King died to get us to the polls. And when we learned the fact that the polls was a place that we could change Congress, House of Representatives, Senate, and anybody, we could stop the Jim Crow laws and all these other laws. We have lost that footprint in the African American community. And I know a lot of stuff. We have a lot of folks that we argue about. Look, I praise God for Avery Alexander. Every time I see Avery Alexander in the newspaper being dragged out the building, that's the first thing I told Jared Ross said when he took the job. Always remember when you setting up there that Mr. Alexander was dragged out of the lunch counter by a police chief named Garrison and became the councilman. So that's a history, and it's thin monuments down in Malcolm Sugar. I love all those guys, but we need to come together and register our people and get them mobilized to put people in office that are going to represent what we represent and believe what we believe and fight for what we want to fight for to help our city. Crime is out of praise. I mean, our neighborhood is out the box with crime. I mean, you see a man that can walk up to a man and kill him cold behind some kind of flawless relationship that he might have had went bad. It's bad for black folks. I've never seen black folks doing the things that they're doing. It's disgusting. I'm hurt. I can't believe it. But I know one thing about it. We can do much better. We're an intelligent race of people. We the most prosperous race of people. We can survive anywhere. You put us in the desert, we'll learn how to use sand, and we know how to survive. And we're going to survive, and we're going to survive 4 years under Donald Trump, because he might be impeached in a couple of months. So just keep the head up, keep fighting, and keep hope alive.
Thank you. I saw both of y'all were amen and Reverend Wallace. That's that Lakefront Revival.
Yeah, right.
That's a citywide revival we got going on, man.
And to his point, let's just go back to that last judicial election.
Right.
10% of the people.
Right.
I can't get over that. Please, in the runoff, go vote.
On your way to the Jazz Fest, man.
That's right.
Go early vote right now.
You don't even have to go to Jazz Fest, but you got to go vote.
Go
vote.
Right. Get it out of the way. Well, I guess that's what you guys are looking for, man. The last few callers, people are mentioning names out there. So let's talk about District E real quick. Alicia Plummer, a great community activist, offered herself up.
Right.
Candidacy before.
Right. We're hearing that name. Of course, we do have an incumbent.
The incumbent, James Gray.
But as we said before, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have an excellent, just as good. I mean, it is, and again, this is no disrespect to any incumbent, but it is unfortunate that the incumbency is seen as such an obstacle to having a good election because even these people have a track record. Surely you have. I know that this station has had a lot of conversations about the Airbnb regulations, for example, and this council has a track record,
especially
on that
the
now.
need for affordable housing, and then Airbnb, and then Uber, and taxi cab, and transportation. There are enough issues out there for every office to have 15, 20 candidates.
If you think your vote doesn't matter, this is where your vote
That's
matters.
A great
I mean,
point.
this is because the person that's
education,
that's
charter schools,
OPS
versus OPSB.
OPSB wants to close the Mahalia Jackson now, and that's a decision that is being made by people that were elected or, as it were, not elected. I mean, they just and so I think that this is a chance to make your voice heard.
I think I made that point the other day, but it was O'Yella, one of our callers. He said, it's cute if you want to say your way of participating is not voting. He said, but when stuff like this happens, well, guess what? Right. You folk who brag about not voting and who opt not to vote, we can put that one on you.
Right. Absolutely. So, I think back to the Airbnb, that is something you were going to hear me ask, and Gentilly Messenger and Mid-City Messenger, we're going to be asking the incumbents. What happened with this homestead exemption?
I still have not figured that vote out, especially given the need for affordable housing, the history of what we see happening with communities, and gentrification and potential gentrification. For the life of me, and I know a little bit about this stuff, I have not figured out how the council was unanimous on that piece yet. I'm still dumbfounded by it.
The only explanation that I have heard is that, well, the city's just that interested in the revenue from this Airbnb stuff, but if that really is the case, the council could have made that case to people. If council had said, well, it's a choice between getting this and raising your taxes, that would have been a discussion worth having. But instead of just this sort of unanimous decision to kind of give the Airbnb people what they wanted, it was kind of, again, I think it's worth questioning. We're going to ask the questions, and so I think that's something that the incumbents, and if you're not incumbent, I hope you have a position on whether or not it's working and this is a good plan, because I'm going to ask you that too. So.
At large, man, we have of course Stacey Head is termed out. Jason Williams hasn't said yet whether he's a DA, mayor, or run for re-election is at large. We have an anointed candidate that seems to be the kind of the status quo, the political system is getting behind already. Helena Moreno. We have Jared Brassett, maybe. Joe Bowie, maybe. What else are y'all hearing?
Well, we are hearing that Jason Williams is staying in his spot.
Okay. So no mayor, no DA.
That he's going to stick with the at-large seat. Apparently, he talked to one of our columnists, opinion columnist, Denai Columbus, and talked to her about staying in his spot. So we're hearing that in his seat, which I would think would probably limit the number of contenders. I mean, not that it should, but we may not see it. And, of course, we've seen a very high-profile announcement from Helena Moreno in the other seat. And to my knowledge, that's been the extent of the discussion.
She had the whole
right?
business and tourism convention center community right with us. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But there are a lot of names bubbling up. I've been told expect some surprises in all of the at-large races, as well as some of this. So if you look, you don't want to wait to be a surprise. Call the messenger. So it's not so much of a surprise that nobody knows you're surprising them, right?
Absolutely.
Mayor's race. Big sign says LaToya.
That's right. She's in. She got the
out there. She's officially in now.
Yep, she's officially in.
Meeting with people all over the city, little small meetings.
That's right. And we have Judge Bagneris is.
He's in.
He's
just opening up the campaign headquarters.
That's right. We have Frank Skurlock.
Yeah.
The Bounce House.
Yeah,
he's
the
in.
Skurlock man.
Right.
That should be an interesting campaign.
Yes, that's true. And of course, we're waiting on a lot of people.
Walt Leger still on the fence.
J.P. Morrell.
J.P. Morrell, and those two are like 1A and 1B. They come from basically the camp.
And of course, everybody's waiting on Mr. Torres too to say his thing.
The garbage man,
right?
The D.
I was surprised that, and OT, I'd love if you could shed some light on this, that Kim Poley said he wasn't interested so quickly. I would. Yeah,
he said it. Actually, said it on the show. He proclaimed it. He solidified it. He said no, he's not interested. Tama would have been a great candidate. Someone, man, good guy from the neighborhood, understands both sides of the fence.
Sure.
Been a great U.S. attorney.
Right.
It has not tried to hurt people.
Very clean administration.
Very clean, not witch hunted. He's done his job.
Right.
But he hasn't tried to hurt people politically, like we know can happen in some of those offices. And he's been engaged in the community. His outreach work with, hey, before kids pick up guns and drugs, let's work with them so they don't make the choice to pick them up. I think has been some of the most progressive efforts ever out of law enforcement.
We two things about him that I felt like would have made an interesting basis for his campaign were, number one, his term as U.S. attorney. He seemed very focused on street crime, which is, and especially organized street crime and so forth, and that's something that the city needs to focus on.
Crime.
And he would, and I think the value of that is he would be intimately familiar with all of the programs that are currently in place. So it's not like he's going to come reinvent the wheel necessarily. He knows which ones work.
Well, somebody reminded me not too long ago that if you look at the last couple of mayor's races, the people who have won, who have been people who said they weren't going to run, or got in at the last minute.
Okay.
Wow.
Because Michel Andrew was not running. He said up until the last week that he was not running, and of course he ran.
And perhaps a lesser known aspect of Kim Poley's career is the way I actually met him was when he was on the board of the New Orleans College Prep Charter Network. Right. So there's a man who knows a great deal about public education as well.
And then Ray Nagin went from just being the Cox cable guy, the cable guy. So, all things are possible, guys. We got about a minute left. First of all, how can people get copies, access to the Messenger, whether it's Gentilly Messenger, Uptown Messenger, and how can they reach out to you guys with some juice, especially some information about who's running or what the issues are?
Yeah, so with Gentilly's, GentillyMessenger.com. Pretty simple. You can, like you said, you can email us at Gentilly@NOLAMessenger.com. Same for Mid-City and Uptown. UptownMessenger.com, Uptown@NOLAMessenger.com. And
it's all free. You can go read it. Everything we're talking about, we put out there for people to read. So, and then if you're interested in the Lakefront issues specifically, pick up that copy of Gambit. It's free too.
We'll definitely get our Gambit. Well, and like Miss Eloise said and Mr. Edwards said, thank God for you guys for doing what you do. We think this is part of democracy. We know we had Will Stoughton on talking about what justice looks like. This is also part of justice, advocating for the community. Look, and to the listening audience, y'all know I've been involved in politics. The fewer people who run for office means the fewer choices we have, which means the fewer ideas we have that affect how you and your family live. And what people like Tyree and Robert and what the Messengers are doing, they're trying to advance us socially. They're saying that your ideas matter, your struggles matter, and democracy matters. You can't not complain about the system if you're not willing to offer yourself up, your time and your energy to deal with the system. Guys, y'all promise to come back to the Good Morning Show?
Oh, we're honored to be here. Thanks so much.
OT and the Early Bird, we did our job to keep you up. The next brother is going to make sure you're conscious. The Conscious Hour with none other than probably one of the great entertainers and spoken word artists in our community, Chuck Perkins. And Sonny Patterson and Tank put it down last night, Lee, at the Back to the Roots with the BGN Backyard. Great fundraiser yesterday that I emceed, man. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Israel Trio. Tank and the Bangers. Awesome. If y'all ain't hip on Tank and the Bangers right now, huh, Tyree? They the truth.
Yeah.
For real. Guys, have a great day and a great week.